The request was how to navigate or communicate in a negative situation. There's many different ways to go with this. I would like to unpack this in as a condensed version as possible. This deserves several hours. I will strive to do it in 15 minutes or less. How to deal with a negative situation is the absolute most crucial and number one thing that we must be aware of and have in our life. When a negative situation shows up is we must have and take personal responsibility. Being able to take personal responsibility will turn the tide already. That in itself starts the movement of turning the tide, turning a negative situation into a positive scenario. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have had an accident on the highway. Somebody crosses the median and you try to avoid them, but they still hit you. And so it is 100% not your fault. It is 100% their fault. So this is a very negative situation, and it's truly not your fault at all. In that case, that is very negative. But how you can handle that is taking personal responsibility. You see, the person that does not take personal responsibility will respond to the negative situation. He will not be proactive. He will be reactive. Don't be the reactive person. The proactive person says to him or herself, I get to take full responsibility of this situation. And they choose not to be angry. They choose to take personal responsibility. And with that, they maintain calmness of the situation. They are not all over the place. You've seen those people. They get out. They start kicking the car. They're all mad. They're angry. They're frustrated. And they just allow their emotions to go all over the place. And in the process of their emotions going all over the place, they respond to a negative situation. Therefore, they make a situation even far worse. And yes, the person that did it should feel shouldn't feel good about what they've done, right? But it doesn't help the scenario, and we don't know the situation of what happened and how it happened, and later we might find out, and who knows, what could have happened. But the bottom line is, when you take full responsibility in any situation, the clock is ticking already. The negative situation is starting to turn back and become a positive situation. Not necessarily a positive situation, but it is moving away from the negative situation into the center. The pendulum is swinging back from the negative side back toward the positive. It may stop in the middle somewhere, but whatever it does, it starts to swing away from the negative situation. I will tell you this. You might say, well, that is crazy. This guy was 100% at fault. Why would I not be frustrated? Why would I not be angry about the situation? I don't know why you wouldn't be. I guess because you might have enough personal growth that you decided being angry isn't going to create the life that you want. That might be a good reason to start not being angry. Another good reason would be just to be in control of the situation. Being out of control and allowing your emotions to control you, listen, that is a life of misery. Let me be very clear. When your emotions run your life, that's a terrible life to live. You're in prison. You do not make your own choices. You are in prison at that point. You have chosen to let your emotions run you, and every time something happens that you don't like, you allow your emotions to override what you do, how you respond, how you communicate with your fellow men or women and workers and whatever it may be, your employees, bosses, leaders, whatever it might be. You allow your emotions to take over and control how you respond and what you do and how you communicate with them, oftentimes making a situation that's not even bad turn it into a very bad situation. But when you take full responsibility and you step back, you take a moment to think about it, take a deep breath, release all the negativity out of you. Take another deep breath and bring back in clarity and give you just a second to really think. And then you start communicating in a calm and collected and a positive way. All of a sudden, you own the situation instead of the situation owning you. All of a sudden, you're no longer in prison. You're no longer in bondage because you now control the situation. You now are are in the driver's seat of that situation. And once you realize that you have conquered yourself, you feel a sense of liberty that can only be experienced when one conquers oneself. Then you experience a sense of freedom. You see, you might be a great leader and conquer many people, many cities, conquer the world. But if you can't conquer yourself, you will still live in misery. And there's another guy that didn't conquer one city, but conquered him or herself. And they live in peace. And they live in abundance. And they live in gratitude. And they have a wonderful life. Conquering yourself is the toughest battle you will ever have. But that is the way to go from a negative situation to a positive situation. Let's use one more example in this. This is another different format of a negative situation. This particular metaphor that I'm going to give starts with somebody gossiping. That is a very negative situation as well. So let's say somebody comes up to you, and this was actually what started the conversation, was this particular part of it. Somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey, did you hear what was said about your friend? I just heard some things about your friend, and I'd like to share it with you." Here are 3 questions I'd like for you to ask that person before you let that person share with you what he heard about your friend. Question number 1 is it honest? Is it true? Let's say you ask that question. Well, hey, yeah, that's interesting. Is it? Let me ask you first before you tell me. Is it true? In this particular scenario, the guy might say, "Well, I don't actually know. I just heard it. Just heard it a little bit ago. So I don't rightfully know, but I heard it and it came from a credible source." Okay, very good. Very good. Thank you. So is it kind? Well, not exactly. Quite frankly, it's quite the opposite. Okay. Is it useful? Will it help us by you sharing it with me? I don't know. I mean, I guess probably not. I mean, I don't know. Don't know that it would be useful. I just wanted to share it with you. So what you're telling me is what you're about to tell me about my friend is you're not sure if it's even true. And it's for sure not kind. You know that off the bat. And lastly, you're not sure that it's useful. So I would ask you politely, don't share it. I don't want to know. You will turn a negative situation into a positive situation very quickly. I have firsthand experienced what I just shared with you guys. I used a little bit different format at that time with that particular individual. But what I will tell you, and I've done this multiple times, so what I would encourage you with is using that 3-question strategy will shut people down quicker than anything in gossiping. Make sure that you're not the gossiper, but also make sure that you are the person that shuts gossiping down. Gossiping is cancer of the spirit. It's terrible. It will cut you down in every way if you allow it to happen. So be the person that takes personal responsibility. Stand up and shut it down, but do it nicely. Do it in a way that helps the person understand that what they're about to do doesn't serve anything. You see, mine and your time is way too valuable to waste it in something that will hurt us. Does that make sense? And so we can't do that. We must not do that. With that, the only way we can prevent it is to take personal responsibility. And one is when it's going on around us and we're not actually a part of it, is to make sure that we're not a part of it. And in some cases, you can change conversation, whatever you must do to help take it in a different direction. But I will tell you this. Let's say you work with a group of people that are prone to be gossipers. And one day you change your mind and you realize this is not the lifestyle that I signed up for. This is not what I want in the remainder of my life. I don't want this type of cancer. I don't want this type of negativity around me. Should I go get a different job? Well, possibly, but probably not. But you all of a sudden start to change your atmosphere. And for a few days, you just don't engage in that conversation. I will tell you, in less than 2 weeks, majority of that stuff will stop. It just absolutely will stop. It only takes one person to not even say a word, but to mentally make a conscious choice to stop, and you will alter a whole team of people without speaking a word. Also, hopefully that was helpful. Thank you guys for joining us today. For the YouTube viewers, if you got any value out of this or if you have any questions, please leave your comments below. I will respond to that. Thank you so much. You guys have a great day, and do me a favor. As always, remember, Don't settle for less than who you are. May God bless you.